Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Blueprint Explosive Exclusive, and I'm Meghna Dekha. Well, viewers, Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, is truly a businessman. He knows if you sweeten a deal or not for the other party, then you must also be ready to give something in return. Reciprocal, of course, isn't he? Well, on one hand, he's busy imposing reciprocal tariffs on countries. On the other hand, when he went to buy a red Tesla model for himself, in fact, we can see the visuals right there, he doesn't want a discount on it. Well, watch this and we'll tell you how all of this is going to come together as Chalo Bharat becomes the mantra.
Is there a discount? President Trump wrote the art of the deal. Is there any kind of room for negotiating here?
Let me answer that. I know he'd give me a discount, but honestly, I don't want to ask for one. You know, I'm president, so I want to pay full price.
So as you just heard, he said that he doesn't want a discount as he is the President of America. Well, clearly a reason for another businessman, Elon Musk, to dance. As you can see, well, he's got good reason to dance after all. After all, he's the one. He's got his eyes set on India. He's on the highway to India. Well, that's right. After Tesla, now Elon Musk has set his eyes on India with his Starlink. Well, India's biggest telecom operators who once opposed SpaceX's entry into India are today saying Namaste Trump. Well, that's right. In fact, you have Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio, rivals in the telecom space. However, they have inked a deal both with Elon Musk's SpaceX to offer Starlink's broadband services to their own customers in India. Yesterday, it was Sunil Bharti Mittal-led Airtel, and today it was Mukesh Ambani-led Jio who announced a similar agreement with Elon Musk's company. Now, both of them are expected to make Starlink available through retail outlets, but the agreement, of course, is subject to SpaceX receiving its own authorizations in the cell Starlink in India. In fact, let's tell you a bit about Starlink itself. What does it really mean for people like you and me, the end users? Well, this is a satellite-based internet. It, in fact, uses satellites orbiting Earth to transmit data. It operates on low Earth orbit satellites, and it has about 7,000 satellites which belong to Starlink, which are already in its orbit. In fact, it gives high-speed internet with lower latency as well. Speeds can go up to 250 Mbps. Currently, we have speeds which are there in the market. It is present, rather, in 125 markets globally. It can work well in remote areas as well as on boats if you want. It can work well in extreme weather conditions because, after all, it's all satellite-based. Musk also plans to upgrade the network every 5 years. So that's what you're looking at if you're a customer of Starlink. So it all comes down to India. How much will it cost? Well, after all, at the end of it, that's what everyone wants to know, right? How heavy is it going to be on your pockets? Well, by the way, the average user pricing, we've done the maths there for you on your screens. Well, the average user price in India is less than 250 a month. In fact, we've got the details of the plans that Starlink offers in Bhutan. This is just for reference. Well, a sneak peek into Starlink's plans. The residential light plan, which is going to be around 3,001 rupee per month, and the speed will be around 23 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Then you also will get, likely to get, if the same plans are available in India as it is in Bhutan, the standard residential plan, which is roughly 4,201 per month that it's likely to come to. That will be offering speeds of up to 25 to 110 Mbps. Well, in fact, let's also tell you how all of this is different from the wireless internets that have been coming in so far. In fact, the 95% of the broadband users rely in India that we do so far. So we are going to split it up so that you can see the two of them on your screens and compare the two of them as you can see on your screens. In the first one, in the satellite-based internet, it uses satellites. In the wireless internet, it relies on towers, which is where the problem lies. Of course, you also have other differences where the speeds can go up to 250 Mbps, the current speeds of 4G speed, which is only 20 to 100 Mbps. So that gives you an idea as to how much faster it is likely to be. It is also going to be great for remote areas And in the wireless internet, it is more stable only in the urban areas where they have other logistical support as well. So as you can see, this is going to be a huge game changer, it appears. So now let's tell you how in a 945 million opportunity coming up for Elon Musk. Well, the internet penetration in India is 47%, one of the highest across the world. People without reliable internet access is 700 million so far. There's rural connectivity, which remains to be a major challenge in India, and that's going to be huge. If we have Starlink coming to India, it'll solve a lot of these problems. India also has 945 million broadband subscribers. 95% are using wireless. This is what they hope to be tapping into. So let me go across to our panelists. Joining us today on our show, we have Neil Shah, who's the VP of Research and Partner at Counterpoint Research. We also have Charu Pariwal, who's joining us, a telecom expert. Charu, I'm going to come to you first because you must break it down to us. If it does come to India, what does it mean for the end user? How much of a dent will it make in our pockets?
Hello, thanks for having me, and hi, Neil. Yeah, to break it down for the users, see, satellite internet connectivity coming to India, it's gonna majorly the main target customer for this satellite internet connectivity will be your rural areas or hard to reach areas, which are, let's say, logistically or which are otherwise as a business case inefficient to provide your broadband connectivity there or set up a mobile tower. So that is the main target segment for this type of connectivity, because in in urban areas and semi-urban areas, we do have 4G networks, 5G networks, and broadband networks in place. Although it is still a work in progress, but we still have a good enough connectivity in place. And otherwise, affordability will remain a major challenge for satellite connectivity. We all know India is a price-sensitive market, and satellite internet connectivity will be placed higher than your broadband or, let's say, mobile wireless internet connectivity. So that is one challenge there.
Well, yes, that is a challenge. But Neil Shah, there are other challenges as well. Before we pull out our purses, we also need to know if there are regulatory authorizations which are going to be in place or not. Because after all, let's not forget that they've tried twice before, and twice there have been hitting road bumps. What is expected next? What's the next step?
I think it's more about the partnership and the market entry for Starlink, which has been always a roadblock from the operators. But now I think they have moved from competition to collaboration model, right? Which makes it easier from regulatory perspective. So it won't be that easy because there will be a lot of other regulatory hurdles in terms of how the satellites, especially from security perspective, how the satellites are going to rotate on top of India, and what kind of data which is being collected by the satellites, right? Because in the end, those are American satellites. So there is obviously a security risk as well, right? So where the data goes, all the data which is being transmitted from satellite, does it stay in India or goes outside India? So that is a major challenge which we don't have right now in terrestrial networks, right? So there are a lot of strings attached to it. First of all, as Charu rightly said, it's going to be a little bit expensive, little bit, or rather more expensive than the terrestrial broadband network. But and the major challenge, I would say, from affordability as well as regulatory point of view, is how it is going to be deployed, and whether this partnership is going to be just a kickstart for Starlink into the ecosystem, and what are the plans for Reliance and Airtel moving forward. Because you also have other partnership for Airtel, like with OneWeb, and then there is Amazon also knocking the door, right? And Jio already has partnership with SES. So there are multiple players here, and how much everyone is going to get skin out of the game, that is a big question here. Otherwise, I would say it's not going to be a huge opportunity for everyone if everyone is trying to jump on the limited amount of broadband opportunity you have from satellite perspective.
In fact, Charu, since we have been discussing how both the two competitors have now signed deals with Starlink, what does it mean for competition within the telecom sector, it's interesting to see how the two companies, be it Jio or be it Airtel, they are the ones who were opposing Starlink initially. And now both of them have signed pacts with Starlink. What does it mean
Absolutely.
for competition? Is it a good thing or a bad thing for the consumers?
I'll say this is a strategy shift. See, earlier we had Airtel concentrating on its OneWeb, then Jio had its own plans of satellite internet connectivity. But now these two competitors collaborating on this satellite internet connectivity, there is a major shift. But in a way, if we try to understand their market space, see, Airtel and Jio, they are biggest competitors from their main core connectivity services, which is your 4G, 5G, and broadband connectivity. Whereas the satellite is not competing against these services directly, because again, the target segment is different. Here, it's serving those hard to reach areas. As Neil rightly said, it's a small business case versus these terrestrial networks. So probably it's more about collaborating here instead of competing. In a way, collaborating with Starlink also gives them they are able to scale their services in those hard to reach areas faster. They will be aiming those business, enterprise, or government projects running in rural areas. I guess here, maybe since the business case is small, it's better to collaborate instead of compete there.
Collaboration may at times be better than competition, especially if it comes to government initiatives. Imagine the kind of reach that it is likely to have if it can literally be set up on a boat as well. Look at what it can do to revolutionize the rural spaces as well. But Neil, it's very interesting when we see a trend, when we see a larger trend. You had first Tesla coming to India, on the way to India, highway to India, you can call it. And now you have Starlink. What makes India such a effective hub for investments coming in, especially in this space?
Yeah. So if you look, I think I should refer to your previous slides where you rightly said India is still an underpenetrated market when it comes to broadband. If you look at from household perspective, just 10 to 15% of the household have proper broadband in their home, right? There's a big digital divide when it comes to rural India. Also, you rightly pointed out. So there is definitely a lot of opportunity to connect the masses and mainstream. But is satellite the right technology? Maybe not at this point. It is slightly expensive to reach to that bottom of the pyramid and the rural areas. So still, there is ample opportunity. So how can the existing players expand on their coverage, terrestrial coverage? I think that is going to be a bigger trend rather than for Starlink, I would say, at this point.
Well, people without reliable internet access in India, it comes to around 700 million. Even as we speak, and as we were telling your viewers, that India has about 945 million broadband subscribers. As we speak, these are the latest which are coming out. But the rural area connectivity is something which has always been a big issue in India and remains till date as well. So I'm going to come across to you, Charu. One of the things that we were discussing, the two failed attempts. Since 2022, you've had SpaceX trying to roll out Starlink in India. Both the times it has failed. So you must explain to us, what are these regulatory conditions which it must fulfill right now to ensure that it can be ruled out for the third time, so that it's third time lucky? And also, isn't it true that it's possible that Starlink also needs to get the approval of SpaceX itself to get it sold in India?
Absolutely. Regulatory hurdles. There have been regulatory hurdles. It still needs the final approval from the government for this partnership with Jio and Airtel to go ahead and start providing services. I think Indian government has been majorly pushing in this Make in India, their initiative, wherein they have been trying self-reliable India, trying to push our local enterprises to come up with services and consumers consuming Make in India stuff. That has been a priority here. The shift in regulatory would be there because now Indian government is also trying to bridge that digital divide, a digital gap, which satellite here comes, does play a role here, because otherwise terrestrial networks, which are not so, there's not a big use case for them. They are not that cost efficient to deploy those type of networks in rural areas. So that is one reason why government will take this route. Then another regulatory hurdle have been, the allocation of spectrum. There have been, a conflict between satellite players versus these telecom players like Jio and Airtel. Jio have been asking government to, provide this satellite internet connectivity through spectrum, auction. Whereas now, finally, the decision has been taken that it would be through administrative allocation. So this was also one of the factors that kind of delayed this process.
Right.
But things have, taken their course, and now I think things are at the final stage.
Well, we'll keep fingers crossed, because we all know there's a possibility of this being a complete game changer, not just for regular users, not just for private individuals. If it is taken up by companies, if it is taken up by government initiatives as well, it could be a game changer for Bharat itself. Thank you so much, Neil Shah, for joining us, as well as Chalo Paliwal. Pleasure to have you on the show. With that, we're going to be wrapping up this show. Don't go anywhere. We return in 2 minutes with lots more.